Hello my dear students, today I am going to discuss the last topic of macroeconomics and its name is foreign exchange rate. Is it clear? So here I have given the title, that is the foreign exchange rate. So first of all we should know about the meaning of foreign exchange. So what is foreign exchange? I am not going to discuss about the rate. I am going to discuss about the foreign exchange. Is it clear? So, foreign exchange refers to all currencies other than the domestic currency. Means, except our Indian currency, any currency of the world will be considered as foreign exchange. Okay? So, here I can take some example. If US dollar, pound, so US dollar of America, pound of England, yen of Japan, and lira is the Italy. So lira, pound, yen and dollar will be considered as foreign exchange. Is it clear? So once again, foreign exchange refers to all currencies other than domestic currency of a given country is known as foreign exchange. So for example, India's domestic currency is the Indian rupee and all other currencies like US dollar, pound, yen, lira, these are known as foreign exchange. Is it clear? Now come to the foreign exchange rate. So what is the rate? So foreign exchange rate refers to the rate at which one currency is exchanged for other. Okay? The rate at which one currency is exchanged with other currency, that is known as foreign exchange rate. Is it clear? Suppose if $1 can be exchanged, if $1 can be exchanged with rupees 80. Is it clear? So if we will take $1, we will have to give how much? Rupees 80. Then what will be the value of rupees 1? So in case of rupees 1, I am going to calculate the value. So in case of rupees 1, the value will be 1 by $80. Is it clear? So the value of rupees 1 will be the value of, in case of rupees 1, the value will be 1 by $80. Okay? So here what will be the value of 80, 1 divided by 80, that will be the value of rupees 1. Clear? Now come to the next topic, and our next topic is that is known as currency depreciation. Okay, so here that is the currency depreciation. So everyone knows that depreciation means decline. So what will be the definition of currency depreciation? So it refers to the value of domestic currency in terms of foreign currency. Is it clear? Once again, currency depreciation refers to decrease in the value of domestic currency in terms of foreign currency, that is known as currency depreciation. Okay, here you can take some example. If dollar $1 is equal to suppose rupees 60, and if $1 is equal to rupees 74. Clear? So what you find? You find that previously we were paying rupees 70 for $1. Now we are paying 74 rupees for $1. So here the value of the dollar is constant, but the value of Indian currency, Indian rupee has declined. Okay, so we are paying here 4 rupees more for the same dollar, and it is known as currency depreciation. Is it clear? So once again I want to say currency depreciation refers to decrease in the value of domestic currency in terms of foreign currency, that is known as currency depreciation. Is it clear? Now come to the effect of depreciation of domestic currency. Okay, so now next is what will be the effect. So if the domestic currency will decrease, it means our export will increase. Okay, and our import will decrease. Okay, so why it happens? So here why our export will increase? Because export means sale of goods and other things. Okay, so here the foreign will pay less amount for our goods. Okay, so it has become cheaper for the foreigners, whereas import means purchase of goods, and when we purchase from the rest of the world, it has become costly because we are paying 4 rupees more for $1. Is it clear? So in this way the import will decrease and our export will increase. So in a simple word we can say depreciation of domestic currency means fall in the price of domestic currency or in terms of rupees. As a result, what will happen? From the same amount of dollars, more goods can be purchased from India. From India means from when we export. So our export will increase, okay, and our import will become more costlier, whereas for the foreigners, purchasing of goods from our own country will become cheaper. Is it clear? Now come to the currency appreciation. So here that is the currency appreciation. The same thing, when the domestic currency value increases in terms of foreign currency, that is known as currency appreciation. That is just opposite of currency depreciation. So once again, currency appreciation refers to increase in the value of domestic currency in terms of foreign currency, that is known as what? That is known as currency appreciation. Okay, so just reverse it. Previously we were writing that $1 is equal to, suppose paying rupees 74, but for the same dollar we are at present paying rupees 70. Okay, so now we are paying less. Payment has been done less. So it indicates that the domestic currency value has increased up to rupees 4. Okay, because we are paying 4 rupees less for the same dollar. Is it clear? So what will be the effect? The effect will be also the opposite. Here import will increase. Import will increase. And export will decrease, because for us purchasing of goods from the foreign country is cheaper, but on the other hand the purchasing of Indian goods become costlier for the foreigners. As a result, our export will decrease and our import will increase. Is it clear? So in this way, one question may be asked from all of you, that differentiate between currency depreciation and currency appreciation. So in this way, you will be able to write your answer, and it is my request every student should go through the book. Is it clear? Now, come to the next topic. So our next topic will be types of foreign exchange. Types of foreign exchange. So there are 3 types. First, that is the fixed exchange rate. Second is floating exchange rate, and next one is managed floating exchange rate. Managed floating exchange rate. So there are 3 kinds of exchange rate. So floating exchange rate is also known as, its other name is flexible. Flexible exchange rate. Okay. So first of all, I want to discuss, that is the fixed exchange rate. So what is fixed exchange rate? The fixed exchange rate is a system in which exchange rate of foreign currency is fixed by the government. Is it clear? Fixed exchange rate is a system which exchange rate of a currency is fixed by the government. That is the simplest definition. You may write in other way, the fixed exchange rate refers a situation in which 2 different countries' governments sit together and they determine the value of 2 different currencies. It will remain constant. Either the value of one currency value increase or decrease. But here, but this process happens only for a short period of time. Is it clear? Now, we have to also discuss about the fixed exchange rate, how it happens. So first of all, I want to say you to achieve any stability. Okay, if the economy is fluctuating means the value of domestic currency or the foreign currencies sometimes goes and up. Due to that, the investor face the fearness of losses because their capital may wipe out. Okay, so to protect the fairness of the investors, the government basically apply the fixed exchange rate. So here we will say, to achieve the stability, the government undertakes to buy foreign currency when the exchange rate becomes weaker and sell foreign currency when the exchange rate get stronger. So in this way, the government tries to stabilize the domestic currency. So once again, just listen carefully. To achieve stability, the government undertakes to buy foreign currency. Here the government is ready to buy the foreign currency when the exchange rate becomes weaker and sell foreign currency when the rate of exchange get stronger. Is it clear? Now here the also government the another method for the fixed exchange rate. The government has to maintain large reserves of foreign currency to maintain the exchange rate at the level fixed by the government. Next, we can say, under this system, each country keeps value of its currency fixed in terms of some external standard. Okay. Next we can say, the external standard can be measured in terms of precious metal such as gold, silver. Okay, so that the external value of the currency may remain constant. Here you will get two different terms. One is known as pegging and other is known as parity. Okay, so first pegging. So what is pegging? One marks question may be asked, define pegging. So that is a very common answer when the value of domestic currency is tied, okay, to the value of other currency is known as pegging. Okay, once again, when the value of domestic currency is tied to the value of another currency, it is known as pegging. Clear? Now next one is the parity value. Parity value. Okay, so what is the parity value? So when the value of a currency fixed in terms of some other currency or in terms of gold, okay, or any precious metals, that is known as parity value. Clear? So in a simple word we can say that parity value, when the domestic currency value is tied up with the value of any valuable what metal, okay, any precious metal such as gold, it is called the parity value. Is it clear? Now next is the, here one thing just you should know, it is not so important, however this is the most essential, because how the previously the exchange rate may happens. So first, that is the gold standard method. Okay, so why the people, why the country, why the government always try to tie up their currency with the precious metals, and The main reason is that previously a system was developed for exchange of currency, and that is known as the gold standard currency. So you should know what do you mean by the gold standard. So external values of all currency were maintained by the fixing their prices, okay, in terms of gold. So the central bank of each country was ready to buy and sell unlimited quantities of gold at a fixed price in terms of its own currency, and that's why the gold standard system was developed. For example, you can say if $1 is equal to 2 gram of gold, okay, and 10,000 is equal to 2 gram of gold. Listen carefully. $1 has ability to buy 2 grams of gold. Is it clear? And 10,000 rupees has also the ability to buy how much? 2 grams of gold. So here the exchange value is $1 is equal to 10,000 rupees. Okay? Like that, if 1 pound has ability to buy 5 grams of gold, and $1 has ability to buy also 5 grams of gold, so what will happen? So $1 is equals to 1 pound, and in this way this system was developed in the year 1870, and it continued up to 1914. So in this way we find nearly 34 years this system was applied in the whole world, and that is known as the gold standard system. After that, a new system developed that is known as Bretton Woods standard. So this system was developed in the year 1944, and it also continued for 1971. So what is the Bretton Woods standard? So gold was replaced by the US dollar, and we know that US dollar is a universal currency because all the countries are accepted it to exchange their currency in the dollar. So US dollar is the core of the system. Under this system all the currencies were pegged. So as I told you, what is the pegging? If domestic currency is tied up with other foreign currencies, that is known as the tie. Okay, so pegging, that is known as the pegging. So every currency is tied with the dollars. Okay, so under this system all the currencies were pegged, or that is the it is pegged, or it is the tied with the US dollar at a fixed exchange rate. So this system gave the work to the International Monetary Fund. Okay, so IMF, that is the International Monetary Fund, and it is a financial institution which provides the loans if any country face any kind of financial crisis. So International Monetary Fund in the dollar, why the dollar is accepted by every country? So when this institution was framed, at that time the US contributed nearly 40% of his own currency in the formation of IMF. As a result, not all the country accepted dollar as a pegging for their own currencies. Okay, and that is known as the Bretton Woods standard, and the headquarters of IMF is located in the Bretton Woods. Is it clear? Now come to the next, that is known as the floating exchange rate or the flexible exchange rate. Okay. So what is the flexible exchange rate? So flexible means what? Sometimes it go up and sometimes it goes down. Okay. So flexible exchange rate is totally based on the two factors. One is the market forces, that is, or two factors, that is the demand and supply. So these are known as the market forces. Okay. So floating exchange rate or the flexible exchange rate is based on the two market forces, that is known as demand and supply. Is it clear? So what is the flexible exchange rate? So it refers to a system in which the exchange rate is determined by the forces of demand and supply of different currencies in the foreign exchange market. Okay. So in the foreign exchange market, every day the demand for the some currency increases and the supply of other currencies also increases or decreases. So with the help of demand and supply forces, if the value of one currency is determined with the other currency, and that is known as the flexible exchange rate. Is it clear? So the value of currency is allowed to fluctuate freely according to the demand and supply of foreign exchange. Here there is no any intervention of the government or any official intervention in the foreign exchange market by the government. Is it clear? Flexible exchange rate is also known as floating exchange rate. Previously I have already written here. So in this way, a question may ask from you, what is the basic difference between the fixed exchange rate and the floating exchange rate? Is it clear? So fixed exchange rate is determined by the government, whereas the floating exchange rate is determined by the market forces, that is known as demand and supply. Okay. In case of fixed exchange rate, there is a complete government control, or the government has the power, the government can intervene in the matter of exchange, whereas there is no any government interference. It fluctuates freely according to the market conditions. Is it clear? For a certain period of time, in case of fixed exchange rate, the value will be stable, but in case of flexible exchange rate, the value of the currency always varies or changes even time to time. So this is the basic difference between the fixed exchange rate and floating exchange rate. Now third is the managed floating exchange rate. Okay. So here that is the term managed. It means it is being managed by somebody. Here on the behalf of the government, the head of the RBI tries to manage the value of domestic currency. So on that basis we can say it refers to a system in which foreign exchange rate is determined by the market forces and central bank influence the exchange rate through intervention in the foreign exchange market. Is it clear? So previously I told you in case of floating, so here the term is also floating, and here in case of floating, what you find? You find that the exchange rate will be determined by the market forces, that is the demand and supply. But here another term is also mentioned, that is the managed. So here intervention will take place by the government, but on the behalf of the government, basically the governor of RBI interfere in the matter of demand and supply. Okay. So you can say it is the hybrid of a fixed exchange rate and a flexible exchange rate system, because that is the floating that is known as the flexible exchange rate, and that is the managed, that is a part of fixed exchange rate. So we can say it is a hybrid of a fixed exchange rate and a flexible exchange rate system. Okay, in this system, who will interfere in the matter? So the central bank intervenes in the foreign exchange market to restrict the fluctuations in the exchange rate. Okay, but it can't be controlled by the governor of RBI. At some limit, it may be possible, but it is not possible for a long period of time. Is it clear? So central bank maintains reserves of the foreign exchange to ensure that the exchange rate or exchange rate uh, should be controlled by selling the foreign currency, and here the foreign currency is sold by the RBI. As a result, the supply of foreign currency starts to increase and the RBI starts to buy the same, or the RBI starts to buy the domestic currency. As a result, the crisis may create and the value of domestic currency starts to increase. But it is harmful for any economy, because if we sell the foreign exchange, it may create in future either either for the investment purpose or for the import purpose. So that's why it is also known as the dirty floating exchange rate. Is it clear? So in this way, once again, I want to explain the definition of managed floating exchange rate system. So it refers to a system in which the foreign exchange rate is determined by the market forces. Foreign exchange rate is determined by the market forces, and the central bank influence, means create the hindrance, influence the exchange rate through the intervention in the foreign market exchange. So it is known as the dirty floating exchange rate. Is it clear? Now the next topic is our devaluation and depreciation. Okay, here there are two terms. One is the devaluation and other is depreciation. So what is the devaluation? Okay, so devaluation refers to reduction in the value of domestic currency by the government. Okay, here the domestic currency value is declined by the government. That is known as devaluation. Once again, devaluation refers to reduction in the value. Now that is the depreciation. So depreciation, in which the domestic currency value starts to fall in terms of foreign currency, that is known as depreciation. Okay, so here the value is, in case of devaluation, it takes place due to the government, whereas the depreciation, it takes place due to market forces such as demand and supply. Devaluation, it takes place under the fixed exchange rate system, whereas the depreciation takes place under flexible exchange rate system. Any government devaluate its own currency. Why? Because if any country wants to increase the export, in this situation they want to decline the value of domestic currency. And just it's, that is the opposite, that is known as the appreciation, devaluation. Next is the evaluation, sorry, not evaluation of domestic currency. So when the domestic currency value is appreciated by the government, that is known as the evaluation system. Okay. So in this video we have learned a number of things, and the remaining part in this year will not be asked by the board, so I am not going to discuss. Okay, thank you.